Hi, this is Shahid Kapoor and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.
Well, the timeline of Shahid Kapoor is buzzing with happiness and everyone is happy as well. So we are talking about Padmavat and the brilliant response that the movie has been getting. So Shahid, pleasure having you back on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you, thank you.
I think one of the most eventful and important films of your career and also the biggest hit so far.
Yeah, definitely the biggest hit. It's crossed the collections of, I think most of us who are in this film, it's the biggest weekend for all of us.
Yeah.
And, a film like Padmavat comes once in a decade. With the kind of journey that it has been, it's not just about the opening weekend, it's about the amount of work and effort that has gone into it. It's a legendary tale and it took a lot of effort to even get it out. I think the whole country is aware of that now. We're still trying to get it out in a few states.
Yeah.
On, I would say, a 60% capacity in terms of the number of states we've opened it in the country, it's doing such phenomenal business. And most of the times when you have a big ticket film like this, you are very you're quite assured of the fact that the weekend is not going to be the problem. Because लोग आ जाते हैं देखने, पहले से bookings हो जाती हैं. Even if the mixed report is there, by the time the film doesn't work, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you've already taken in a large number, and today business basically functions on the opening weekend. But Padmavat had a very different journey, because when we released the film, first we had paid previews, and then when we released it on Thursday, people were very scared to go into the theatres. And Thursday to Friday, we saw the collections jump to double. And that was actually the test for Padmavat. It had to be a great film.
Right.
If it would not have been loved by the people, it would have been like how most other films which might not take such a strong start, which depend on word of mouth, would have it. So it had that kind of a trajectory and a journey. And I'm so happy today that people are giving it so much love. And I can very confidently say that the film is really, really being loved because you can see the growth in the way the film is performing, and it's a very unique kind of journey for this film, not the regular, big ticket film, the commercial pot boiler, which starts with a bang and then depends on where it goes according to how people react to it. But this one had to fight its way through all the way, and it's still fighting.
Absolutely. In fact, I watched the movie on Tuesday. Then my wife was very insistent that she wants to watch the film. So we went for a paid preview on Wednesday. But my observation was, there were 4 vehicles, police vehicles outside the mall. There were policemen outside the theatre.
There still are. There still are. Because I went to Chandan yesterday, and the first thing I noticed was that there was a policeman parked out there.
Right, and that's not the way I think anyone would want to watch any movie whatsoever.
I have always said, I've been saying this for a while, that nobody should be forced to see a film. But nobody has the right to force people not to see a film.
Right.
People should be allowed to decide for themselves.
Right, but do you find it unfortunate the way things have happened?
Of course, it's unfortunate, but
petrol bombs are being thrown at cinema. What exactly is wrong with people? I don't understand.
But I'm very happy that the film's finally out, and I really want to focus my energies on that because I think so much has happened and so much has been spoken in the past few months that it's all there for the world to see and for people to see, and enough has happened for everybody in the country to know how they feel about it, and we've said it so many times that please see the film, please view the film before judging it. And today, after 4 or 5 days of the film having been in the theatres, not one person has said that they didn't like the film or that they felt that the intent of the film was not right or the representation was not right. Every person has walked out and said you cannot glorify the culture and heritage of our country and Mewar and Chittor in any better way. So the verdict of the film is out, and I think people should go and watch it.
We did a public opinion obviously in Bombay. It was brilliant, but at the same time we did a public opinion in California, and there were several Rajputs, and they said that I'm a Rajput, and there's absolutely nothing objectionable in the film.
I've seen many such messages on Twitter, many such videos which people are posting. So people are being very vocal about how they feel about it.
Someone posted a tweet that I'm from Pakistan, and there's a show at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, there's a 4:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. So everywhere, and I think overseas it is one of the biggest openers ever.
Yeah, because it wasn't a limited release.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I mean, in India, with a limited release. If it wasn't a limited release, we would have been. I mean, it's still doing amazingly well, and I am very humbled and very happy. I don't want to be thinking about anything else. It's a very significant film in my career. It came in a very interesting time in my career, And for the last 1.5 years, people kept asking me, "Tu kya kar raha hai? Why are you doing it? Are you making a mistake?" And I knew that it's going to be, I'm not going to have any support before the film comes out. There's going to be no understanding of what I'm doing in the film. And I will have to wait till the day this film releases for people to know why I did it. And then I will have to make enough impact and reach out to them, because they really don't know what I'm doing in the film. Because the way the film is positioned, the way that people have been thinking about it, and there has been no clarification about my role in the film for various reasons which I don't want to get into, that I knew that I'll really, really have to work hard to, get what is due for this character in the film. So for me, I feel so happy and so thankful to everybody who has given so much love to the character of Maharaval Ratan Singh, and has given so much love to the amount of effort. I mean, I can see that people have felt it. I have been a part of many films over many years, and people know you're the leading man. So the love comes in a way where you had a great opportunity, you did a good job, so good on you, man. But sometimes when you know that you are the underdog, love comes in a very different way. Because I think all of us have been an underdog at some point in our life. And so everybody knows that, sometimes you swim with the tide and it's easier, and sometimes you have to swim against the tide. And everybody understands how much effort it takes to do that. And I could feel that in people's energy when they met me, and continue meeting me and messaging me and calling me in the last 4-5 days.
There's so many things to discuss. I think every scene of yours can be discussed at length, but let's try in whatever time we have, at least a few of them. The opening sequence with you and Priyanka.
Don't worry about them.
The opening sequence between you and Deepika. One thing which is extremely noticeable is that there are your facial expressions, the way they change gradually. It's something which only like a seasoned actor can possibly do that, and it has that desired impact. I'm sure at the woman who's there in front, in terms of the character that she's playing, and the audience as well. So the romance, the way you communicating through your eyes, and the maybe the facial expression, the way they are changing. Was it something that you discussed with Mr. Bhansali? How much of your own interpretation was there in that?
So the thing with any Bhansali film is that nobody's doing anything that he doesn't want. He's very clear about how he wants the films to be made, and he's very clear, but he's also very open, because I think with me it was his first experience. So I was like this new piece of clay which has been given to him, and he's trying to mold me in different ways and seeing what he can do with me. I think with Deepika and Ranveer, he's had 2 films before, so and that helps with somebody like Sanjay sir. It really helps to have worked with him before, because there is a certain process to the way he works, and there is a certain personality that he has, and you need to spend time with him to understand him better. That's just the nature of the person that he is. Every filmmaker is not like that, but he very much is. So it was a very unique journey for me, because after 15 years of work, I was feeling like a newcomer on the set, I was actually the most experienced actor on set amongst the 3 of us, but I was feeling like the newest on the lot, because I was trying to figure out how it works and what he likes and things like that. But I think there were certain things which I had in my mind, because when I read the script of the film, I felt that there were certain things that were there in the script, and there were certain things that the character needed to come from me, which were not written in the script, so to say, And I'm very thankful to Sanjay sir that he allowed me to express myself. And I think we both found the character together. Because he knew that this is a very challenging character, and he had come to me and he said, Shahid, there's a film, and I said, आप गाने के लिए बुला रहे हो, special appearance के बुला रहे हो, क्या है? Because आप तो announce कर चुके हो film.
Right.
So he said, no Shahid, there is a hero's role in the film. So I said, अच्छा, this is news to my ears. So he said, हाँ, and then you hear it, and then I said, you tell me if I should do it. You know where I am in my career. I just finished Urta Punjab, I just had a baby, I just got married. It was all happened. So at that time, it was a very important decision what I do next. And,
right.
And so when he came to, and everybody told me, what are you doing? You shouldn't do it because the perception of the film is set. People think it's a Ranveer Deepika film. These guys have done 3 films before. Nobody's, knows what character you're playing. And I was like, yeah, correct. But I was like, but I love Sanjay Bhansali. I really want to know what he's offering me. Yeah, so he told me, he said, Shahid, you guys, and I just done Tommy Singh. So he was like, तुम लोगों को ऐसा लगता है कि सिर्फ dark, edgy characters जो होते हैं वही अच्छे होते हैं और उनको perform करने में ही मज़ा आता है. Then he gave me examples of Dilip Saab and things like that, Mughal Azam and things like that, and of course Devdas. And he said, aren't those some of the greatest performances? Why are you boys all running after doing these very out there characters? You've just done one. Why don't you do a character which is good? Why can't you find strength in integrity? Why can't you find performance in goodness? Why do you feel that? So I looked at him and I said, you think I should do it? And he said, I really think you should do it. I said, okay, I'll do it. I didn't read the script till 1 week before the film released, before we started shooting for the film. I read it eventually because then I have to get into it, right?
Right.
So then I read it.
Okay, now talking about the various scenes. Now the scene where we're just confronting Ranveer, and he asked to see Padmavati, and then you react. So you know that moment of sudden anger, the way it gets written on the face. It's a beautiful portrait. Like it becomes like a picture.
Yeah.
And from whatever we've understood of the way you tend to have that method to your acting, so I think tend to internalize a lot that anger. Maybe you may have internalized a lot before, because it shows on the face suddenly. You know, it comes on the face suddenly.
When I read the script, my interpretation of it was very simple. I understood that there is one guy who has an army that is big enough to defeat anybody in the country. There's nobody who can, stand up to him. He's just too powerful. And there's another guy who has a fort in which there is his wife, and all that's between that man and his wife is this guy. That's all that there is. He can't run away because he's surrounded. He can't attack because he has a smaller army. The only thing that he can do is hold. You know, there's this amazing scene from Braveheart, if you remember. You know, when Mel Gibson is standing with his army and the other guys are coming and they're a much bigger army, and he keeps saying hold, hold, hold. I don't remember if it's a very, 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 like, it's stuck in my head, that moment. And it's that expression on all their faces where they were just waiting. Wait against something that is so much bigger and so much more powerful, but wait. And that's where the character of a man lies. So Rawal Ratan Singh had to keep everything within himself. If he revealed that he was worried, if he revealed that he knows that the other guy is bigger than him,
that looks
if he revealed anything, he would give away, and all Alauddin would need to do would be to attack. Because Alauddin is coming to test him. He is trying to intimidate him in every way possible. And the one thing that he didn't do till the time he asked to see his wife was he was always cool. He was like, all right, yeah, you're bigger than me, so what, should I feed you some food? Want to play some chess? What else can I do for you? That's how he was, you know. But when he spoke about his wife, then it became personal, and for me that is a turning point in the character. Before that, the character is very, he's very soft, because the moments that you see with him are the moments that he has with his wife.
Correct.
You don't see too much of him in terms of how he builds his army, or you don't see him in the capacity of a warrior. You see him more in the capacity of a lover, because even when he walks in on Deepika and, everybody's before Ghumar, and he just keeps looking at her, he's so absorbed with her, because that's the time in his life that you're capturing. You're capturing the time in Rawal Ratan Singh's life where he met a woman, fell madly in love with her, and couldn't see beyond her. That's where you meet him, Of course, before that, he must have gone to war, he must have gotten angry, he must have, done other things. But that's not the time that we are viewing within this film in the life of Rawal Ratan Singh. We view him first in the light of being a lover, And it is only when Khilji says what he says that you see the raw Rajput anger, intensity, and fearlessness, that for the first time it comes out. And he knows that this guy who's sitting in front of him is too big, but he can't control himself. He has to say what he has to say, because then at a human level, what that guy has said is so low that then he loses all respect for him. Right. Till then he still has regard that, theek hai, this is how life used to be at that time. People used to go, wars used to happen, and rulers used to extend their empire like that. That's how life was at that time. So it's not as if he's doing anything that kind of wrong. But when he comes and demands for his wife, then there is no respect. You cannot respect a man who has such low desires or thinking or ideology or whatever.
Right.
So that scene was very, very fundamental in the shift of seeing Ratan Singh from being a soft lover to the warrior, the anger, the pride, the grit. All that started from that scene.
Okay, now the movie is still running. We're dissecting it like too closely, but I wouldn't give away the entire gist of what really happens. But the scene when Ranveer can't hit you and you provoke him, so I wouldn't really give away the entire thing. Okay, you got what I'm talking about.
You're talking about the second half.
Yeah, when you're just going back and
when I go and see him.
Yes.
Before I go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that element of sarcasm which is there, you know, that has a people react to it. You know, when you're watching in theater, people really, because that is like
there were a couple of more scenes like that, but because of the length of the film, I think so. Then we never shot them.
Correct.
But there was a little more of that. So again, we had only one scene to juice it out. You know, eventually when we shot it, we knew that अभी यही scene में सब करना है. जो भी इन दोनों के बीच में यहाँ पे create होगा वो एक ही scene में. पहले sir had thought of a couple of more scenes, but you know, today we have to make tight films and you know, so we couldn't. But yeah, so your question was.
Yeah, the idea is that, you know, that the element of sarcasm which is there, you're provoking him.
Yes.
You know, as a cinema watcher, those scenes they have that sense of elation.
Yeah.
एक जो viewer है वो भी participate करने लगता है ना यार, this guy he deserves this and he's getting it back. So that element as well, I think it has like that element of heroism which.
You know, actually, Alauddin Khilji is in every way much bigger than Ratan Singh, but Ratan Singh is much bigger than Alauddin Khilji as a man. There is no comparison. So the way I saw Khilji, I saw him as a very poor guy. You know, he says also that, you know, you're just a slave of your desires. You're a king. You're sitting on a throne. You're supposed to lead. You're supposed to show. You're supposed to guide. Your role is to be an example, and here you're running out after a petty desire of yours. Thousands and millions of people are going to war. You're ready to kill and slaughter. Why? For some petty desire of yours. So that's Ratan Singh's opinion of Khilji.
Right.
Otherwise, he wouldn't walk in like that. He wouldn't speak to him like that. In fact, if he wasn't injured, the climax would probably happen there only.
Yeah.
He would say, pick up your sword and let's decide who wins. Because he was ready to go. I mean, Ratan Singh was ready to go with him once he figured out why this guy is here.
Correct.
You know. So yeah, so it was more about standing. It's you know, after a certain point, and that's what's beautiful about the film, is that you're talking about kings and you're talking about dynasties and this, that. At the end of the day, it's a very personal film.
Yeah.
There is a husband, there is a wife, and there is a man who's much more powerful, who wants to acquire the wife. So it's very personal.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether they were kings or not. It's one-on-one. It's about who I think you are, what you want from me, and how I'm going to give it back to you. I don't care who you are.
And I think maybe because of that, I think it appeals as well, that it connects in terms of at a human level as well because of that.
Of course, there has to be something human about a film like this, otherwise it would be very unrelatable. You know, you have to be able to understand, and it's a very fundamental, basic issue. Somebody walks up to you and says, I want your wife, can I take her? That's it. That's what the film's about.
Right. Okay, could you share some experiences of while you were shooting for the film?
Like what? Ask me something and I'll tell you.
Like especially when you guys, I think quite a lot of it has been shot in Mumbai.
Yeah, most of it.
So because
all of our work was in Mumbai.
Yeah. So how was the experience and
well,
the sets,
he
the way they were
builds sets
created?
which are magnificent, and you feel like you're there. And we started the film in. I started shooting in December, and we finished the film somewhere in November. So it was a year's journey. So we went through all the seasons, from heat to cold to rain. We shot in all circumstances.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, every day working with him is like a new experience. I mean, there were days we did one shot and came back, but it was amazing. So that's just how it is with him.
Right. And what about the clothes? How much time did it take for you to just get into those clothes? Was it time
he's
consuming?
very particular about what he wants, and he's very involved with the jewelry, and he's very involved with the materials
Safa.
The colors and the safas, which were very big and very heavy. And so I mean, he likes to see everything, and he has such attention for detail, and his understanding of color scheming and materials and how they'll fall on you, and what is correct for that era and those people. And I mean, you can see it in the film. I mean, the worlds that he's created, I mean, from Sinhala, which was Sri Lanka, to obviously Delhi and Afghanistan and to the entire Chittor fort. There's so much variety. He's spectacular with that.
The scene where Deepika is just getting that safa done on you.
That was one of the first shots we did together.
You know what happens that in movies, be it like Mughal-e-Azam, you know, you give a reference कि वो scene था and it remains there. Merely scenes, the moments.
I have a story for you when you say Mughal-e-Azam. So when we started shooting the film, I was struggling with कि यार ये character मैंने कैसे play करना है.
Right.
Because it's a very difficult character to play. You know, either you can play the character, but it might not make any impact.
Right.
You know, you're going to be like, हाँ ठीक है, but how does he make his how do I, you know, bring him out in a film which has so much noise all around? How do I make this guy who's not supposed to be noisy make impact? You know, thinking. First few days of shooting, हाँ ये जब साफे का आप शॉट बोल रहे हो ना, उसी वो first schedule में ये सब हुआ था. Padmavati's Chambers was the first schedule that we shot. Because he wanted to start with the romance and he wanted me and Deepika to connect and he wanted that sur to come right, otherwise the film doesn't work. Because if their love story doesn't work, then you don't care whether they live or die. So that's the most important. So I came out of my van and I was like, क्या हो रहा है? And they said 3 घंटे का delay है. I said क्या हो गया? I said नहीं वो कुछ costume में problem हो गया. So I went back in my van, I sat down, क्या करें? I opened my laptop and I saw Mughal-e-Azam. So then I suddenly remembered, I said, I told my manager to put this film just for reference somewhere. I put the film on, I watched the whole film and the shot wasn't ready. It was like God had sent that time to me to watch that film. And I just saw Dilip Saab in the film. And I was like, this is it. Because his character in the film, first of all, is not the most fundamental character. The drama is between Akbar and between Anarkali. And his character in the film is very stoic, very staid, very internalized, very royal, very proper. It had all those elements, you know. So honestly, that film and that performance became like my Bible for me. I was like, okay, now I understand something. You know, it's like, it was just God sent. And you know, the thing with performances and acting is that you cannot explain things.
बिल्कुल.
Either it sits or it doesn't sit. You know, वो बैठ जाता है सही सुर पे या फिर आप ढूंढते ही रहते हो.
जी बिल्कुल.
So that just helped me in such a big way, and you know, I'll never forget that day and those 3 hours that I got to see his performance. If I hadn't seen it, I think I would not know only what to do with this character.
No, because I think there is an element of underplayed element that you bring to the table, which is, you know, just second time when I saw the film, I could feel more nuances in even in your face.
But you're not seeing it in 2D only, bro. You have to see it in 2D.
I'll do that. You know, you've said that on camera.
You'll be shocked how much
fans will start saying.
I loved it in 2D. I loved it in 2D. I think it's great in 3D, and you should see it in both.
Okay, so I'll see it in 2D as well. Those nuances which come forth, that underplayed element, I think that looks beautiful.
Which is what I was
in the beginning. You know, अगर आपको याद हो, I'm sorry to interrupt, लेकिन मैंने शुरू में मैंने आपसे कहा था कि how much of it was your own interpretation. मैंने आपसे शुरू में मैंने एक बात कही.
A lot of it has to be.
Now we get to.
I mean,
because after watching that Mughal-e-Azam, एक वो आपने जो एक.
I mean, the one thing I learned in that performance was how to be powerful without being noisy. You know, how to hold a frame. You know, an actor is truly tested when words are taken away from him.
क्या बात है?
That's actually, I think, when an actor is tested.
How you can communicate with silence.
This was that film for me. You tell me what you're feeling without any words. No crutches, no words. Say it from here, say it from here. That's it. So it was that film. I had to feel naked. I was like, I have to just feel this moment completely and truthfully. Otherwise, I won't be seen. And that's what Mughal-e-Azam taught me. I think Dilip Saab is like the epitome of that. He's just, he can just speak with his eyes.
What about the framing of Sanjay Bhansali? Because everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Everything has to be there for a reason, and he puts a lot of things.
Yeah. And you understand why when you work with him. Otherwise, you keep wondering, itna bhi kya hai, itna to 200 din, ye, wo. You know, I've been working in the industry for 15 years, so everybody has something to say.
Right.
But when you work with him, you understand it's all time well spent. Extremely well spent. He might take 5 hours to do a shot, but he has worked harder in those 5 hours than people would work in 1 hour to put a shot together. And he has the understanding and the genius to be able to use those 5 hours to maximize what he wants to create. Most people would work for an hour and a half and they'd be like, हाँ अभी से तो मेरे को मालूम ही नहीं मैं क्या करूँ इस frame के अंदर. But he has that. He has so much to give to every frame.
What about lighting? Because
Sudeep Chatterjee, absolute magician.
Yeah, because जैसे मैंने आपसे जिक्र किया था, जो आपका scene है when you get suddenly angry, and there's a scene when you laugh. You know, when you laugh, all your facial muscles they form like a symmetrical sort of both the sides, and I think somewhere I'm saying entirely as a viewer बिल्कुल मुझे खलीफा बनने का कोई शौक नहीं है, but लेकिन वो जो lighting है, I think that really enhances the entire impact of that moment.
Yeah, I mean you know, I was coming from Urda Punjab and Tommy Singh, and you know, so I was used to very edgy lighting, and he was lighting me very differently. You know, I think he saved that kind of a thing for Ranveer, because he wanted Ranveer to have that shadowy energy all the time, and he wanted me to have a very alive and very beautiful kind of energy. You know, so that was just that. It's all his interpretation.
Okay, now when I know that the controversies you guys would want to avoid as much as possible, but I've always wanted to ask you something that when that entire incident happened in Rajasthan, when he was roughed up, Mr. Bhansali, and you said in an interview that I would have wanted to be with him at that point of time. You know, I personally felt I think as a team member, it was a big statement to make actually, that you would have wanted to be there at that point of time. How do you look back at it now? Do you guys think that as an artist,
it's worrisome? It's worrisome that in general we're becoming so reactive, and it was very difficult to see what happened. I was very shaken up when I saw it, and I'm sure many people were. And I don't think any film has gone through more controversy than Padmavat has. So we've seen it at its worst. What else can you say?
Do you have apprehensions that maybe Mr. Bhansali will think twice or thrice maybe about making a historical from here on? Someone who's worked closely.
Well, if there's anybody who can get up and do it again, it's him. He has a lot of grit and a lot of determination and a lot of belief in his craft and his work. So if there's anybody who can, it'll be him. But I think that's a very personal choice, and I don't really think I can comment on what he would want to do. But I mean, he's gone through a lot. So even if he tomorrow said that mujhe nahi man hai, I'll understand. But if there's anybody who can get up and do it again, it's him.
Right. There's also this criticism that in a way the film is maybe regressive.
Achha.
But at the same time,
in
terms of the sati factor, people have certain reservations about.
So are we talking about something?
Let me complete.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir. Let me complete.
Complete.
But at the same time, there is another point of view that it tends to be very progressive, because the Raja he lets his Rani have her say. She has a certain point of view as well, and apart from that, they make certain progressive moves which may not have been possible in the first place. How do you react to this entire debate which is there?
Well, to begin with, we're talking about a chapter in history. So we first need to put it in context.
Correct.
That we're talking about the 13th century. We were not living in a civilized society the way we understand it as of today. Times were very different. Things used to happen in a very different way. Why is Padmavati somebody who's treated like a goddess? Why is she a goddess for so many people? It's because they understand the sentiment behind the action. It's not about taking it literally. What was the option? The option is to live and allow all those men to treat you a certain way. I don't want to get into the details.
Right.
Or to walk away with your pride and your dignity intact, which requires unbelievable amount of courage. So it's about how you view it, you know. I mean, here is a film we are making in the 13th century, which has a titular role for the heroine, which has a negative character and it has a positive character. And it's telling you a chapter which is one of the most celebrated chapters of Indian history. You need to see it in context. You have a husband who listens to his wife. You have a wife who almost is kind of ruling In the second half, there are moments where she's the one who decides what's happened. It's extremely progressive in that context.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think if somebody just doesn't understand and see it in context, then they will say whatever they want, because it's not a contemporary film. It's a chapter from history. You need to understand it in context, and I think after seeing the film, if somebody hasn't got it, I can't explain it to them.
Right, yeah, that's true.
You know,
it has to be. In fact, someone was telling me yesterday as well that हम सती को नहीं बढ़ावा दे सकते. But my thing was, see, आपको संदर्भ में देखना चाहिए. You should look at things in the context in which it is being, it's happening. What's the other option that is there?
कहानियाँ नहीं बना पाओगे फिर तो आप अगर there has to be context to everything. You know, everything in cinema or in life in general, there has to be a context to it. Without context, though, right and wrong becomes black and white. You know, I don't think that's any way of. I don't understand the argument, to be honest.
Right. What about Sanjay Leela Bhansali, the music composer?
Well,
I think he's outstanding.
He is always, I think, underestimated, and always somewhere, you know, the filmmaker always takes center stage. But his films are incomplete without his music.
Right.
He's an extremely musical soul. You know, his soul functions on music. He has so many songs with him and so many different things that he keeps listening to. So even there is a lyric to his camera movement. There is a timing and a rhythm to the way he likes his dialogues to be said. He is all music. So I am not at all surprised that he makes music for all his films. I mean,
what's your favorite song of the film?
Ek Dil Ek Jaan, without doubt. Right. Without doubt, I think that's my favorite song.
Ek Dil Ek Jaan, that's true. Okay, and what about the background score? The interesting part is it's not merely the expected part will be that it will be all you know, traditional and dholak and sitar and all that stuff. You get to hear the very contemporary today's feel as well in terms of
you have to,
so
you know,
which is makes it.
I think the reason why there is only one man in this country who's been able to make historical successfully is because he understands how to make them for an audience that is there today.
Yeah.
You have to understand that you're making such a large scale film. It has to work with a larger audience. It cannot only work with a limited audience who have a certain international sense of cinema or something. It doesn't work like that. You have to make a film. For that film to be successful, it has to work at every level. It has to go down to the masses. It has to go to the B centers and the C centers. So he understands how to balance that, and it's very difficult to explain in words. It's just a knack. He just knows how he needs to do it for everybody to get it.
Right. We did in Public Opinion in Fremont in California, Shahid, and the edit, it starts with a lady, a foreigner, an American. It's a couple, and they said that this is the first Indian film that they have seen, and they found it like magnificent, and they'll watch more movies. Somehow the Indian films, the way the world knows it, it is known because of its song and dance, the clothes, the grandeur, and the certain amount of bigness which you won't find in any other cinema of the world. Do you find? Do you think that Padmavat is Padmavati or Padmavat? I would say Padmavati actually. You know, I really still don't understand the entire part. But anyway, is a perfect advertisement in terms of for an Indian film that anyone across the world should.
So is Dangal. So I don't think that there is any rules and regulations. What was No Man's Land when it won the Oscar? And you know, so I don't think there are any. All these
Shaban Azmi says that this should be India's entries to Oscars.
Well, I hope that it is. Right. I think it's a film that's deserving to be considered. I don't want to be really jumping and harping. It's nicer for other people to say it. But if there is a film that deserves to be in that list, I think Padmavat definitely does. It should be a front runner.
Right. And you were saying something earlier. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. So I was saying I think the language of cinema is way beyond all these things. It's not about the physical elements. It's about the emotional impact that it makes. It's about the connect that it makes. It's about the humanity of the film that you make. I think if the humanity of the film that you make is large enough, it will jump over all the barriers, whether it's language or culture or, you know, first world, second world, third world countries, however you want to say it, you know, it'll jump over those barriers because there is something which is higher than all these things, and every human being feels that. There is a human connect that we all have with each other. And when a film has that in a pure way, it just goes leaps and bounds beyond.
Right.
So whichever film has that.
Right. Finally, what do you have to say to the entire film industry that have stood up with you guys? And you know, the interesting part, Shahid, is that within the film industry, within the media, everyone, they have their certain political beliefs.
Yeah.
And everyone is entitled to that as well.
Of course.
But what I have personally noticed, like I've spoken to people from within the industry who have certain political viewpoints which are very different from maybe the way, like say mine maybe, but they've stood by Padmavat, and they've stood by it like through thick and thin, and they've been extremely vocal about it, and same in media as well. What do you want to say to those people that irrespective of whatever beliefs anyone may have, but they've supported the film through and through?
I have mixed feelings.
Acha.
About this thing, and not just with regard to Padmavat, in general. Because I think this is something that's happened to Urta also, and there are other films that have, films are becoming more and more vulnerable and more susceptible, and it's becoming very difficult to put films out without some issue or the other creeping up. I don't think 10 years back so many issues used to happen. I think it's very evident that it's become more now.
Bilkul.
And it's important to ask ourselves why.
Heather, it happened as well.
Heather was not so bad though. I would say Urta and Padmavat are another level. On one hand, I feel very proud that people come out and speak openly and support, not worrying about how it will impact them. What I'm worried about is that we only talk, mostly on Twitter. Do we truly come together and take action? I think as a fraternity we will be viewed as weak because we only talk.
100%.
And that is a problem that needs to be answered. And it's not, I'm not speaking for Padmavat. I'm speaking in general.
100%.
Because we are all one fraternity. We are all in this together, The problem is that films are made individually. Therefore, everybody has to fight their battle at some level individually, and other people are busy and everybody's doing their own thing, and
Right.
Because of which we somehow are not able to consolidate ourselves and put up a front that is strong enough to make impact. We always seem to be, asking and begging and requesting and worrying and waiting, and we're always in that place कि हमारे साथ कुछ हो रहा है, हम उसके बारे में कुछ कर नहीं पा रहे. That is worrisome.
That's true. That's
what I feel.
That's true. But does it bother you, like after Supreme Court's repeated appeal that it should?
Does it bother you?
100% it does.
Exactly the same.
Like in Maharashtra, I saw that I think they had a wonderful arrangement for police. If you can make for like a proper arrangement, I don't think anyone will dare to do what they did maybe in other states.
Yep, I agree.
It's time for some fan questions. There are many of them. So this is Prateek from Delhi. Will Imtiaz film release this year? Please ask him to take A.R. Rahman as music director. So Imtiaz film,
I'm going to shoot it this year, so I doubt we're going to be able to release this year. Because I still have Batti Gul to shoot, and I'll finish Batti Gul by April, and then after that I'll start with Imtiaz. So I don't know if we'll be able to release this year. I doubt it, but maybe early next year.
Looking forward to working with Imtiaz once again.
Oh, yeah.
Met is 10 years. It's celebrated recently.
Yeah, I mean, more than Jab Bhi Met, it's about the experience I had working with him and what I feel about him as a filmmaker. There are certain filmmakers who, they make you feel very inadequate as an actor because there's something in their head which is still lingering in their head, which you've not achieved in a shot. It's almost like after every shot, when they reach that point where they feel, I think we've got a lot, and now let's move on, they move on. But I keep feeling, there are certain filmmakers like that who are so good, and whose understanding of characterization and emotionality and the depth of, relationships and things like that, like they have such a large understanding that you always feel like you've not given them everything. And I think Imtiaz is one such filmmaker.
This is Adnan Ahmad Hashmi from Pakistan. One guy and several different characters. How does it feel to know that you possess a Heather, Tommy, Ratan, Charlie, Guddu, Prem and Aditya inside you? The world needs to know your extraordinary acting skills. Proud of you. So this is interesting, yeah.
Thank
like
you
in
so
terms
much.
of
Thank you.
so many characters, which is very interesting.
Yeah. The first thing you need to do to be able to play the number of characters, like for example what I've been attempting, is that you need to let go of certain thoughts. Padmavat, which was initially Padmavati, is a titular role for Deepika Padukone. And if Ranveer Singh was scared of playing a villain that will be hated, and if Shahid was afraid of playing a hero that is an underdog, Padmavat would never be made.
Right.
So I think we need to go beyond these boundaries, and to make great cinema happen, you have to learn to participate. You know, and you have to look at your own career in a larger context. You cannot get obsessed with one film and say, "Abhi mere ko isme sab kar dena hai aur mere ko ye bhi karna hai, wo bhi." It's not a race. You're not running with. It's a journey. You know, there are all kinds of chapters that you will go through in life. There are all kinds of things that will happen. It's like life. You know what I'm saying? Every day is not the same. And you should know in life when it's getting rough and you need to brace yourself, and you should know when the tide is with you and everything's just going to go. You need to understand these things. So the only reason I think I've been able to play these kind of characters is with time I have understood that. You know, an actor is a part of a film. We have to participate, we have to collaborate, we have to build great stuff together. You know, so I guess that's why I've been able to do this, because somewhere at the back of my head, that's how I feel today about.
I really wanted to talk to you post Heather, because there is so much to discuss, and the fact is that there's so much to discuss in that film, it's unfortunate that we couldn't talk, but that was a brilliant performance.
Thank you.
This is Tulika Saxena from Nainital. Which was the most difficult scene to shoot in Padmavat for you?
I found many scenes very difficult to shoot because the character is very internalized and he's very different from me. First of all, मैं तो उठ के मतलब सीधा चढ़ जाता. You know, मैं होगा यार क्या बोला तूने ऐसा मेरा. I am very like spontaneous like that. I think people think I am a little controlled, but when it comes to these things, I'm not.
Okay.
There were many very difficult scenes in the film. It's very difficult to choose one. I can't say. Maybe the climax fight. Maybe I don't know. Although I really enjoyed doing the climax fight. Physically, it was very exhausting.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. It was a journey. I can't choose one scene.
Because you like to prepare. I'm sure that you must have prepared a hell lot for.
No,
just
you can't prepare it with Sanjay sir.
No, in terms of becoming the warrior.
When you're
fighting.
Yeah, those things, of course. You have to define the look. You have to define the physicality.
Sword part.
Of course, you have to understand how you. So the thing is that we did a lot of training, and we did a lot of different types of sword fighting, and there were different people who came to teach us different things. But eventually, when we started conceiving the fight, Sanjay sir just looked at all of us and said, "But I want it to be real. I don't want it to be too choreographed. I don't want it to be too stylized. I don't want people to come out and say, wo style tha iska aur wo style tha." No, I want two men like two lions in the middle of a forest. They are both fighting for their territory. I want it to be raw and I want it to be real. And then suddenly he started planning the whole thing all over again. And instead of cuts, it became actually the entire climax fight is 4 long shots. There are only 4 shots.
Acha.
And every shot is about a minute long. If you go back and you see the fight, there are no cuts.
Right. How many cameras were there?
I think we were shooting with 1 camera.
Acha.
It's all 1 camera. Go back and see the fight, you'll understand what I'm saying. 1 camera, no cuts, 4 shots for the whole sequence. So we used to do 15-20 rehearsals, and then it used to go to many takes, you know. So by the time we used to finish the shot, we used to actually be feeling like कि ये दोनों का क्या हाल हो गया होगा desert में fight करते हुए. We were actually, I lost 4 kgs in 4 days. But that was not the most difficult scene in the film. Because that was my favorite scene in the film, because that's the first time my character was allowed to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
like as a warrior.
He could just go and fight because he knew this is it. मैं आ रहा हूँ, तुझे आना है आजा. 1-on-1 fight करनी कर ले, वहाँ से तीर चला ले. This is it. Now I can express myself. Now I can show you how I feel about you. Now I can feel free. I'm not bound by my responsibilities and by my rules and by all those things. I can just go out there and fight the guy that wants to take my wife away from me, the woman I love so much, and whose respect is so important for me.
Right.
And so I felt a sense of liberation when I did that scene.
Right. This is, I think, one of your fan clubs, Shahid Kapoor Lovers FC. We Shanatics read so many interviews from Shri Narayan Singh and Prerna Arora praising you a lot. How does it feel like to work with a team who respects you?
No, honestly, I don't think I've ever really worked with a team that has no respect for me. But I think these guys are amazing people. I think I'm kind of collaborating with Prerna for the first time. She's very enthusiastic. She's very straight up, very supportive towards her actors, very optimistic. So I am really looking forward to this film. Actually, I met him on the sets of Padmavat, and Toilet hadn't released, and then we were talking about this film, and I hadn't seen Toilet, and I said, okay, yeah, let's work together, because I just got a sense from him that he really knew what he's talking about. And this film again is a film which talks about an issue which is integral to our country.
Correct.
Just as how Toilet was an issue in many villages in our country, the issue of the fact that there is no proper sanitation. He's from a village like that, you know, and he told me that his village didn't have that. And he understood why and how many issues that creates and how difficult it is for people, especially for women. And today he's making a film about the problem of electricity in our country, that still so many parts of our country don't have it.
Right.
Ever since it's got privatized, the bills are very difficult for regular people to manage.
Right.
And the kind of issues that creates. So he is from that world.
Ji.
He understands these problems at a grassroots level because he's lived there. And so I think he's the best person to make a film like this, and I'm really looking forward to collaborating with him.
And most importantly, any issue-based film has to be entertaining, and he's got that with Toilet.
Oh yeah.
You know, the entertainment
Oh
quotient
yeah,
is very important.
he will make sure that you're entertained and happy, and it's, you know, so yeah,
So that's
for sure.
you're working with Shraddha once again.
Yeah.
And Yami is there. The Shraddha you shared in Heather.
Yeah,
You guys
Heather,
shared a
we had
wonderful
some.
chemistry.
Yeah, we had some time together, but the film was about other things, so we couldn't really, you know, spend that much time and do that many scenes together. This film will give us that opportunity, and that's great. She totally looks the character, and she's got a great role in the film. And Yami again has a very important role in the film. When people see the film, I don't want to talk too much about it.
Right.
And she's also very interestingly cast.
This is a very old fan of yours and a very devoted one, like Biagi from Germany. You know.
Yeah, I know these guys
So-
by Ahmad and Biagi and all
Yeah.
these. I know them by name
So
now.
what is your most favorite scene in Padmavat and why?
It's a very small scene. It's that little moment in the temple before I leave for war, when when Rahul, Ratan Singh and Padmavat look at each other for the last time.
Right.
That's my favorite scene in the film.
Right, and the Amavasya part was
That was in the
Chand.
interval.
Chand.
That was in the interval. I'm talking about the scene right at the end before he goes to
Right.
war.
Right.
You know, when those things are hitting the thing and dust is falling and they're
Correct.
standing together and
Correct,
he says,
correct.
it's time for me to go.
Correct.
And then he just takes that little longer to leave and they both smile and they know what's coming. That was fantastic.
You know, that communication through eyes is something which is you guys should work.
And I
together.
really
Deepika
enjoyed-
and that Shahika thing we have discussed long time back.
Well, it's a
And
great
you guys
start.
should-
It's a great start for us, and it's
Yeah.
great that the film didn't have enough for us to really juice the romance. So I can see that people want more. So that's great. That's great to do something and to have people like you and then want more. That's a great place to be. Also, I want to say I really enjoyed working in the scenes that me and Ranveer had together. I just like it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it, you know, because it was really exciting. It's great to do scenes where a character is so powerful and you know, you have a good, like a really good actor doing it and you know, you have to figure out how you're doing it and it's so much fun. It was awesome.
Okay, this is Sagar Jada from Ahmedabad, another very old fan of yours. Hey Shahid, congratulations for Padmavat. And is it true that you are doing Arjun Reddy remake?
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm doing this film, but actually I'm doing Batigul and then I'm doing Imtiaz's film and there is no film that I have signed after that. So please wait for official confirmations. Don't believe in afaz.
Okay, this is Tushar Rana from Noida. Hey Shahid bro, love your act in Padmavat. I just want to ask, when are you going to do Kamine 2?
That's not a question for me. Please go ask Mr. Vishal Bhardwaj. I don't think he wants to make it, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Bhumika Solanki from Mumbai. As you both watched the movie together, what did Meera say about your performance?
Interesting question. So Meera is the reason I did this film, okay? Because the minute she heard that Sanjay sir wanted to meet, and she just kept selling it to me. She was like, these are the kind of people you need to be working with. He's a phenomenal filmmaker.
Right.
Every character in his film is always liked, and he wouldn't come to you unless he thought he had something worth your time, and you must work with him and you must start a relationship with him. And of course then I said yes to the film, and through that 1 year journey she was so supportive that I feel that she is as much a part of this film, even though she has not, you know, worked on the film. She has been such a huge support for me.
Right.
And you know, when we saw the film together, she just gave me the longest hug and she just looked at me, she said, you made me proud. I can see how much you had to do and I saw what you did with it and I'm proud of you. And for me that was the most amazing compliment, because she's literally, I can say she's lived it with me. So yeah. So
And she's Meera Rajput.
she's Meera Rajput, her dad is Vikramaditya Rajput, so there was a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Right, okay. This is interesting one. Shubham Lahoti from Rajasthan. Shahid, if possible, please share your favorite dialogue from Padmavat. You're a big fan from Rajasthan, not able to watch the movie yet.
Hope that you can watch it soon, buddy. Many wonderful dialogues in the film. Very difficult to choose one. I think all the characters have fantastic lines. I love that Rajputi Kangan line. I think that's a great line. You know, because I think it represents woman power in the 13th century, which I think is super cool because we're still fighting for it.
Right.
I think Alauddin has some great lines like when he says कि वो मिट्टी नहीं बनी जहाँ पे Alauddin को किया जा सके or something. Ratan Singh has some wonderful lines. I mean, one of my favorite moments in the film is when he says फिर से पढ़िए. You know, that Khalita is being read and there was a long dialogue there and Sir just said, just say फिर से पढ़िए. Why should a king have to say more? वो देख के उसको he should, like, you know, completely be peeing in his pants or whatever that he said. So there were so many things. It's very difficult to choose one. Of course, the whole Rajput dialogue and all is wonderful, but that's obvious. You know, we've been positioning it from the beginning of the film, so that's obvious. There are many wonderful dialogues in the film.
Okay, this is interesting. Elenia from Germany. If you were allowed to change one thing in your past, what would it be?
Nothing. I'm very happy with life. I don't really, you know, I'm sure there are many things that I can change in my past, but I don't think that I like to look at life like that. I'm very happy with everything that's happened, and I think I've learned a lot from all my mistakes, which are quite a few. I've made a few.
This is from Indonesia. DEXIUHANS. Name is not there. The chemistry between Shahid and Deepika is amazing, and we wish to see the stand-alone movie for this couple. Is there any chance for another movie between Shahid and Deepika?
In fact, the first thing Sanjay sir said after the screening finished, he looked at me and said, "तुम्हें और Deepika को एक और film करनी चाहिए."
You करनी चाहिए.
So I said, "बनाओ." But I'm sure we'll do something together again.
This is Shaheen Turak from Mumbai. After Meera and Misha, which is the thing that you can't live without?
Work, my acting, films.
Jasmina from Germany, your dialogue delivery in Padmavat was perfect. Could you please say the Wo Rajput dialogue again?
Oh yaar, pressure bro. चिंता को तलवार की नोक पे रखे वो राजपूत, रेत की नाव लेकर समंदर से शर्त लगाए वो राजपूत, और जिसका सर कटे फिर भी धड़ दुश्मन से लड़ता रहे वो राजपूत.
Super fan. Prateek from Delhi, any message for Akshay Kumar for postponing the film for your movie?
Yeah, of course. We said that we love him, and it was an amazing gesture on his part to push his film ahead. It is very magnanimous of him to do that. And yeah, Padmavat was, you know, wouldn't have been the same film if it released with Padman, and first day, first show, Padman. All the best. Any
final thoughts for your entire team, Shahid? Because you guys have worked in extremely trying circumstances.
Yes.
Right through the film, and it's like a huge team, and with the sort of pressure that you guys.
I hope.
What does this team mean for you?
I really think Sanjay sir has been leading from the front, and I hope that he gets the respect he deserves.
Yeah.
For the intent with which he made the film, and for the people that he made the film for. I just hope for that. I think he deserves it, and I feel he should get it.
Shahid Kapoor, pleasure talking to you once again, and congratulations for a wonderful performance.
Thank you.
And we hope that the movie does exceedingly well. I'm sure that it will just go from strength to strength.
Yeah, it's done well enough for me. I'm already happy. Abhi iske aage everything is, you know, bonus.
No, it will be. I personally.
I hope it releases in the places that it hasn't yet. I really hope people get an opportunity to see it because it's a special film, and I think films have the potential of impacting us and making a change or making an impact or reminding us of certain things, I think, because they represent life. And I think this film has many such moments. So I hope people get to view.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. That's all we have from BollywoodHungama. Keep on watching.
Hi, this is Shahid Kapoor and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.